coming up on the Monday edition of Carolina Week.
I'm Caitlin Kleinert. Coming up, I'll tell you why local residents are concerned with a possible expansion of UNC's cogeneration power plant in their neighborhood.
And we'll show you why Veterans Day means so much to one UNC student.
Our best five versus your best five, and no, it's not basketball. It came down to penalty kicks between Duke and Carolina for the ACC Men's Soccer Tournament Championship. You don't want to miss this.
Plus, should you expect some much-needed rain? Weathercaster Aaron Wallace is here with the answer.
All that and more, Carolina Week starts right now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Good evening. You're watching the November 14th edition of Carolina Week. I'm Shaheen Sayal.
And I'm Philip Jones. UNC's cogeneration power plant does a lot for the university.
But how will a possible expansion affect the lives of local Chapel Hill residents? Caitlin Kleiner joins us from the Freedom Forum to tell us more.
Is bigger always better? That's one question locals are raising in response to a possible expansion of the university's cogeneration power plant. It's hard to miss a power plant right in the middle of a residential neighborhood. And when the university proposes an expansion of the plant, neighbors begin to worry. The plant is a cogeneration power plant. Vice Chancellor of Campus Services Carolyn Elfland says its efficiency is much greater than a regular power plant.
The beauty of cogeneration is making two kinds of energy at the same time so that you save. Your fuel is used for two purposes, and so it's twice as efficient.
The proposed expansion is for a new transformer and generator, replacing the cooling towers, building 5 new buildings, and adding an acoustic sound wall to prevent additional sound from reaching the neighborhood. University officials say the expansion will not involve additional land. Neighborhood residents says she won't be affected by the expansion.
So in reality, it's not expanding, right? So area-wise, it would be in the same area. They are just upgrading their system. So I think it's not going to harm anybody.
The plant has been producing more and more steam each year to meet the needs of the campus, but the amount of electricity produced has remained the same. The expansion would allow the plant to produce more. Bonnie Morell has lived in the neighborhood right behind the plant for 33 years.
I'm not against what they're proposing to do. I mean, it makes economic sense, and it really is a good, clean plant.
And when adverse conditions arise, officials say the cogeneration plant is able to stay operational, keeping critical facilities like the hospital and research facilities up and operating. University officials say one more benefit of cogeneration, it significantly minimizes any environmental impact.
Caitlin, can you tell us what one of the biggest misunderstandings is involving the plant's expansion at this time?
Well, Shaheen, one issue that neighbors have is that they're afraid the plant will try to add to its boiler capacity and burn more coal. University officials say the plant is not doing that. The plant is solely trying to add to its ability to produce electrical power, not steam, and therefore coal burning, and for that matter pollution, would not be produced.
Caitlin Kleinert reporting from the Freedom Forum. Thanks, Caitlin. Along with the question of expansion, many residents living close to the plant worry about possible health risks. We'll take a look at these concerns on Wednesday's show.
There's a lot of talk among seniors on campus about the university's choice for commencement speaker, and it's not all good. Officials announced last week that Wendy Kopp, president and founder of Teach for America, will address the May graduates. Last year, Teach for America hired more UNC grads than any other employer, but many students say Kopp's address may only interest education majors. Senior Meg Tyner says she's worried the speech will end up being a job recruitment seminar rather than a commencement address.
Past graduations have had Bill Cosby and Stuart Scott, and then we get a woman who works for Teachers of America, which is fine, but I just don't really agree with it, and it might turn out to be a big commercial.
Chancellor Meeser says he thinks the speech will be a good way to show students how important education is to our country. Monday marks the beginning of International Education Week. UNC Center for International Studies is hosting a wide array of events to encourage study, travel, and research abroad. You can learn about study abroad funding at an information session Tuesday at 2 p.m. in the University Center for International Studies conference room. On Wednesday, you can apply for a passport in the Student Union from 1 until 4 p.m. And on Thursday, Global Cultures will be on display in the Student Union courtyard. We'll have more on International Education Week on Wednesday's edition of Carolina Week.
Many UNC students study abroad to gain an appreciation for other cultures, but some may be getting more than they bargained for. Students who are used to the calm and quiet of Chapel Hill are experiencing a culture shock in France. As most serious French riot in 4 decades rages on, the Study Abroad office is busy keeping tabs on the 23 students who are there. They're in daily contact with the students and keep parents reassured of their child's safety. The students live in Paris and Montpellier, both areas that have not had rioting yet. They're scheduled to return home next month.
For more than 75 years, the Veterans of Foreign Wars have been raising money for aging and disabled veterans through their Buddy Poppy program. Several veterans hit Franklin Street on Saturday to continue the tradition. Veterans in VA hospitals, along with their ladies' auxiliaries, assemble the Buddy Poppies every Veterans Day. Commander Bennett Murphy says the veterans have raised millions of dollars so far through the program.
Headache collected by the Buddy Poppy volunteers goes directly to Veteran Services. There are no administrative costs of any kind. We're all volunteers and we do this on a volunteer basis.
The veterans also raised money by raffling off season tickets for Carolina men's basketball games. Shelley Basinger joins us in the newsroom to tell us about one UNC student who has a special tie to Veterans Day. Shelley?
Phil, Veterans Day is a chance to remember what those in the armed services have done for our country. I talked with one student who spent the holiday honoring our veterans and reflecting on his own military service. Many students come to Top of the Hill to unwind after a tough week of classes. But senior Imran Huda has more to talk about than just schoolwork. 11 months ago, he was a soldier in Iraq.
It's a tough situation to be in, to be told that you're going to be sent to combat.
Huda says the job wasn't always easy, but he kept his spirits up by laughing with his friends and meeting new people.
I just went about it with an attitude to learn as much as possible and just do what I was told.
And Huda learned a lot about tolerance. He says his experience proved difficult at first because he's Muslim.
People realized eventually that I sweat the same, I got tired the same, and I was as much needed to be a part of the team as anyone else.
Sitting with fellow veterans on Veterans Day, this college senior says he remembers what he's done for our country and what others have done before him.
As opposed to looking at it from the outside, now I'm a part of it. It feels good to be a part of not just history, but American history, and just for people to see, what our accomplishments have been.
As Huda continues to live a college life, he says he will always carry with him the lessons and experiences of his time as a soldier. Huda says he had several duties during Operation Iraqi Freedom. He worked as a radio transmitter operator, a command post coordinator, and a bodyguard.
Shelley Basinger reporting from the newsroom. Thanks, Shelley.
What has traditionally been a classroom ritual is now turning into a raging debate.
Coming up, we'll take a closer look at the controversy behind the pledge.
What is that thing?
Looks like somebody's double chin. Must have lost it snacking on fruits and vegetables.
Somebody's gonna trip on that.
What do you get when you cross a soprano with a cardiologist? Someone who'll sing their heart out. Just what they're doing at a local community theater. See, the Sopranos Choir and the Cardiologist Hospital contacted their community coalition and started a children's theater. They knew busy kids are less likely to try drugs. And that's music to everyone's ears. What can your group do? Contact your community coalition at helpyourcommunity.org. Because you get more when you get together.
2 months ago today, a federal judge in California ruled that reciting the Pledge of Allegiance in public schools is unconstitutional, and that the words "under God" violate the right of school children to be, quote, free from a coercive requirement to affirm God. The U.S. government is appealing the case, and many experts believe it's headed for the Supreme Court. I recently spoke with Jessica Polka, the former president of UNC's Atheist, Agnostic, and Non-Religious Student Association. I also sat down with the Reverend J.D. Greer, pastor of the Summit Church in Durham, and Bill Marshall, a First Amendment expert in UNC's School of Law. Here, in their own words, are their views on the highly personal controversy surrounding the separation of church and state.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The pledge is an affirmation of loyalty to the country. And as you give your loyalty to your country, you should not be coerced, as school children are when they are forced to say this pledge, into proclaiming that you are religious in a way. I mean, that it's not only coercive to children, but also offensive.
Under God acknowledges that our laws come from the Christian worldview, Judeo-Christian worldview. To acknowledge that that is the basis of our laws, that our nation is under God, He is the basis of our laws, is historical and rational.
I think history is important, but we should not let history come in the way of making progress in terms of tolerance and accepting other worldviews.
And all worldviews are not created equal. The Constitution never says that. Of course, I would say that the theistic worldview, based on arguments from design, arguments from conscience and morality, is the correct worldview. It is certainly the one our Constitution was founded upon. So again, whether it's right or not, it's the basis of our Constitution. Unless you want to throw out the Constitution and write a new one, then you got to stick with that worldview, because you can't rape the Constitution to make it say what it was never intended to say. And it is clearly written out of a theistic worldview.
I can't proclaim loyalty to my country without proclaiming loyalty to this God, which I don't believe in. And it's totally coercive.
Do I think there's a harm to it? I'm sure some people feel a harm, otherwise I don't think they would have brought this lawsuit. Whether it's a constitutionally recognizable harm is something else. We get offended by things all the time in our public life, including offense to our religious sensibilities or non-religious sensibilities. And if we suggested that that harm meant that there was a constitutional violation in every circumstance, we wouldn't have much of a public culture.
You're not talking about changing the pledge to read one nation, not under God. No, absolutely not. All it's doing is making the pledge an article of loyalty to the country rather than loyalty to this hybrid of church and state.
And let me just, you put this on tape. The church does not want to be the slave of the state. She does not want to be the master of the state. She wants to be the conscience of the state, and that is all.
As you can see, this is a very personal issue. While Polka tells me she hopes to see Under God removed from the Pledge of Allegiance, Marshall says if this case reaches the Supreme Court, he expects the phrase will remain.
The university is trying to make sure your webmail is secure, but students are still getting those annoying spam messages in their inboxes. The webmail system includes a report as spam button, but this option hasn't solved the problem yet. Employees in the ITS Response Center say the spam comes from viruses on students' computers that make their way into the network. They recommend updating and running antivirus software once a week and reporting any spam you get.
Well, Shaheen, we see those students getting their inboxes flooded with emails, but we definitely haven't been getting any rain that can cause any problems around here lately.
You're right. And Aaron, it has been dry and warm outside. Is there any chance we're going to see any sort of relief in the forecast?
Well, there is a possibility that we may see a shower this week, but more on that later. For now, it's a good idea to put on a t-shirt and get outside and enjoy the autumn sunshine. These sunny days might be coming to an end. I'll have your forecast coming up.
jail for a gun crime, and your family serves a sentence with you.
During the fall, one of the most peaceful places on campus is the Forest Theater. Many great plays are held in this place of serenity. But my favorite times are when nothing at all is going on, and the colorful canopy of leaves overhead shelters you from the cares of the world. No one knows the real Carolina like a student.
Hi, and welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm weathercaster Erin Wallace here with a check of your weather headlines. We have been on quite a roller coaster ride the last couple of weeks with our temperatures, and that looks like it's going to continue this week. We will, however, have a cold front move into our area on Wednesday, which could bring us a chance for some showers, but nothing that's going to relieve the drought that we have been experiencing. And after the cold front moves through and skies clear out, we will see some very chilly overnight temperatures on Wednesday and into the weekend. So if we look at the satellite map, we see we've got plenty of moisture coming in the area, and those clouds are going to be really coming into the triangle Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And accompanying that, there's a frontal boundary right here that's sort of stationary. It's going to push its way into our area. If we look at the surface map, we can see that more clearly. This cold front right here has kind of stalled out over the middle section of the country, and it is just going to move through into the triangle possibly Wednesday afternoon, bringing us that chance for some showers. Back behind that, we have some nice high pressure, which is going to clear out our skies and bring down our temperatures significantly. So if we look at the 4-day forecast, we see our temperatures are going to hover around the 70-degree mark. Farther to the east, we could see temperatures up into the mid-70s for Tuesday and Wednesday. This all depends on the amount of cloud cover that we do get. But I'm going for a high of 69 both days, and the low on Tuesday we're looking to see in the 59, low 60 range. But on Wednesday, as that front moves through and clears out our skies, our temperature is going to dip down into the 30s. On Thursday and Friday, our temperatures are going to be more into the lower 50s. So here we go again. We're going to have upper 60s, low 70s, and down into the mid 50s again with sunny skies both days and overnight lows reaching close to the freezing point. Now, we are on a drought watch. We do only have just under 30 inches of rain for this year so far. And our average year-to-date precip for this time would be normally around 38 inches. So that puts us almost 9 inches below average for this time of year. So we need to be careful with our water, and many cities have put restrictions on water usage. So be on the lookout for that, because they are ticketing up to $1,000 for breaking those conservation
But it does
rules.
look like at the end of the week, temperatures are going to look more like fall, feel more like fall.
It definitely will feel more like fall. We'll actually be below average for this time of year.
Oh, great. Well,
So,
thanks, Erin.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Erin. Heather Catlin joins us now with sports and tells us about, unfortunately, a heartbreaking weekend, not only for the football team, but for the men's soccer team as well.
That's right. For both teams, soccer and football, it was just devastating. Very close games. So in sports, Carolina football entered game number 2 of a pivotal home stretch with huge bowl implications. We'll let you know how the Heels handled Maryland's precision passing and what the game's result means for the rest of the season.
Hey, kid, what's shaking? Besides me.
Dad, there's something wrong with the fridge.
What? Ooh, a snack.
Got energy hogs in your house? Now you have the power to do something about them. Log on to energyhog.org. Because nobody likes an energy hog.
Hey, they got Charlie. Who cares?
I'm doing it right now.
I do it all over town.
I do it every day.
We do it in a group.
I did it after dinner.
You don't have to go to the gym to live a healthier life. Add more fruits and vegetables to your diet. Park further away and walk. Walk your dog. Walk with friends. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. They are doing it. And you can too. Start doing it today.
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Heather Catlin. It was a rough weekend for some Tar Heel teams, but for others, one step closer to NCAA play. The men's soccer team sought to win their first ACC tournament title since 2000 in Cary over the weekend. Reporter Ryan Ball takes us through the celebration and the heartbreak of the tournament.
Carolina took the field Friday night against a familiar opponent, but also one who hadn't lost in 8 games. The Tigers of Clemson tried to use their size to score in front of the goal, but Coach Elmore Bolwich knows his team could handle it.
And it has nothing to do with size. Our guys, they compete in there. They win the headers that they need to win. Size doesn't matter.
After a scoreless first period, Ben Hunter first blasts this Corey Ash pass into the net, then slides a rebound pass home to give the Heels a 2-point lead. Hunter tries for an acrobatic third goal, but his first 2 will be enough to put Clemson away 2-0. Carolina's next game against Duke on Sunday was for the ACC championship. Ted Odgers and the rest of the team knew what was at stake.
You know, Duke-Carolina game, there's a lot at risk. There's a lot up for grabs, especially today in the ACC championship. There's not much more to play for.
Duke and Carolina battled out and didn't score a goal for 2 periods and went into golden goal overtime. Calling this game rough would be an understatement. Ben Hunter almost put it away for the Heels in the first OT, but instead collides with the goal. 2 overtimes later, it comes down to the shoot-off.
You know, at that point, you don't put the pressure on the guys. The guys have to step forward and feel comfortable to tell you that they're ready and willing to take the shot. And when I was looking around, you know, certain guys stepped up and said, I want number 1, I want number 2, I want number 3. So we went down the list, and that's what I write down.
After 3 points each, Williams manages a diving save to put the Heels ahead by 1. But Duke manages a miracle of their own, and the game is once again tied. Duke then makes a key block, and Ford can't pull off the magic twice. Duke takes the title in overtime. In Cary, I'm Ryan Ball, Carolina Week.
The women kicked off the NCAA tournament against Western Carolina. The Tar Heels were going for the shots early but didn't score until Ford Heather O'Reilly made the first goal of the game. By the end of the first half, Carolina went for 19 shots while the Catamounts took 0. That didn't stop Western Carolina from saying, bring it on. Lori Chalupny kept her cool as the game intensified. Jamie Gilbert closed out the team's second goal of the game. Now this was a special game because it was head coaches Anson Dorrance's 600th career victory at Carolina. Wow. As predictable as the leaves turning color at Fetzer, the Heels advanced to another round of the NCAA play. Kendall Fletcher started the scoring in the first half off a corner kick. There she is with her signature move. Lori Chalupny fired one from 25 yards out for the third goal of the half, leaving more than just these little fans happy. Lindsay Tarbley had this shot, but it bounced off the post and was pushed out to Yael Averbuch, who hammered it home. Carolina victory 6-2. In other NCAA action, the field hockey team fell to Indiana in the first round of the tournament. Kate Schroll and Britt Van Beek each took a goal, but it wasn't enough to top the Hoosiers. Carolina finishes the season with 14-7 record. A winning record, bowl hopes. Both of these were on the line as Maryland came to Kenan Stadium on Saturday. Reporter Michael Crow takes us through Carolina's painful loss to the Terrapins.
The Tar Heels got off to a strong start Saturday. Behind 2 Connor Barth field goals and this 6-yard touchdown run by Ronnie McGill, Carolina led 13-10 at the half. But Maryland held Carolina to less than 90 rushing yards, putting the offensive burden squarely on the back of Matt Baker.
The last 2 weeks has really picked it up, and I'm really proud of his efforts. He throws the ball really well.
Baker responded with 335 passing yards and this touchdown pass to Mike Mason. The defense stepped up too when Kareem Taylor returned an interception for a touchdown. Carolina led by 10 in the fourth quarter, but the Terrapins fired back through the air.
Didn't finish one play, almost sacked the quarterback. People in the back end think he's going down. Stop covering.
3.5 minutes later, Maryland struck again, this time an 80-yard bomb. But Maryland's kicker missed the extra point, leaving the door open. With no timeouts left, Baker led the Tar Heels down the field and scrambled inside the 10. With 13 seconds remaining, Carolina decided to kick the field goal to tie on 3rd down.
I was not going to take a chance on a sack, a fumble snap, or whatever. Sack, game's over. Ball on the ground, game's over.
In overtime, Carolina held Maryland to a field goal, but Connor Barth failed to tie the game. The ball and perhaps Carolina's bowl chances sailed wide right. In Chapel Hill, I'm Michael Crow, Carolina Week Sports.
What a painful loss. Well, what's the best way to cheer up after an emotional loss? Watch the men's basketball team welcome Division II Catawba to the Dean Dome. Carolina held on just by 4 points after an ugly first half. A scary moment here when freshman Tyler Hainsborough went down on an intentional foul, but he'd get revenge with this monster slam. David Noel led the Heels with 18 points, and Bobby Frazier established himself as the go-to man at point. But the big story was the coming out of Rashawn Terry. Dunk after dunk after dunk. Just watch these. Terry had 16 points as Carolina rolls 89-63. Later, head coach Roy Williams said the team's preseason ranking won't affect their performance.
Young, when you say something about rank, they think you're talking about the smell. That's the best one I got, folks.
Well, while the basketball is beginning their season on a good hand, the volleyball team is now ranked first in the ACC, and will hopefully, they have 4 more games this weekend and next weekend.
So it looks like they're set up for some good NCAA postseason play, and we certainly hope the football team will also be in the postseason as well.
Yes, definitely.
All right, thanks very much, Heather.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Well, Phil, you'd think it requires good sportsmanship to win a bet.
That's right, but not all the time. Coming up, if you want to win this one, you have to play nasty.
I used to party a lot. I'd black out and not remember anything. My friends would tell me that I needed help. I didn't listen. I was in control. Then something happened. I realized if I didn't stop, I would die. I knew I had to get help. I called the Alcohol Drug Council of North Carolina. They connected me with people who helped me live my life without alcohol and drugs. If your story sounds like mine, then make the call.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
For college students, laundry is often at the bottom of their to-do list.
That's true, but for some, it doesn't even make the list. Reporter Brandon Curry has the story of one shirt that has students raising a stink.
Have you ever shared a shirt with a friend? How about a few friends? How about 20 different friends? Well, a group of UNC students is, but with one smelly twist. It must never be washed.
And while you have the shirt on, you can't wash it, you can't take it off, you can't spray anything that smells good on it.
Meet Kathy Walker, a contestant in the Dirty Shirt competition, organized by members of the Marching Tar Heels. For 24 hours, she delightfully marinates herself in the body odor of 20 of her friends before passing it to the next competitor. Her goal is to make sure the dirty shirt, packed under several layers, is more disgusting and sweat-drenched than when she got it. The last person willing to wear the shirt wins. What could possibly be the incentive to forego simple rules of hygiene? Sophomore Andy Blackmore explains.
Just to see who's the grossest person we know, and the winner gets the money, so that has some incentive too, but it's definitely more about pride.
Pride and a $120 prize have competitors playing dirty.
This is barbecue sauce. There's a tuna, I think this is tuna down here on the side, but I'm not sure.
Sophomore Erin McKinney puts the contest in perspective.
Other than that, I mean, it's just a matter of layering and knowing that when else in your life are you going to be able to do this?
And that's advice you shouldn't throw away. At Chapel Hill, I'm Brandon Curry, Carolina Week.
Well, we can always count on Brandon to go digging for the best stories we can find here on Carolina Week.
That is disgusting. I cannot believe that these people wear these shirts that long.
But for $120.
Yep, you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
That's right. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching. Have a great night.
So long.